Hey everybody, welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. I am here with Katie.
Hello.
And we are Sugar and Spice and Nothing at All Nice. We are on part 2 of day 1 of the Matt on Guard trial. Adrian Andrews needs to take the stand. Miles just saved Nick's ass.
Yay!
Yep.
Nick went and cried in the bathroom for 7 of the 10-minute recess.
We haven't been on the recess yet, so...
Well, he's going to.
Okay. So, let's go. Part 2-2. You are still leading me towards a penalty that has a funny line of dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry.
Yeah,
You'll know.
I just don't remember, like, where you get it. That happens sometimes. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian... No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews.
She's your manager. It would be very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her.
So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. I love Adrian in this picture. I think she's adorable. Her just like, ugh. It's like...
Like, really?
Yeah, like...
See, she could have easily planted the blood-covered button in your hakama.
Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it really was her?
Yes, she is the real killer. She's the one who murdered Juan Carita.
But why? I thought she was buds with Juan.
She had her own agenda.
Her own agenda? What are you talking about?
I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of the day.
This is a bummer, dude. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude?
Phoenix. You think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impact for her strength and a reason to live. But then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Carita, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Carita. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issue in regards to Miss Impact's. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of the ship. Don't let your guard down yet.
The court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls this witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Carita's room. What is your occupation?
I'm the manager and the defendant of this case, Mr. Matt on guard.
I see. Now then.
Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request.
Yes, sure. What is it?
I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. And would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently.
No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland.
If the judge was ever the prosecutor's witness, he'd do all my work for me.
Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim.
Yes, I was seeing Mr. Kurita. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself.
So it was a fry and bait matter. Or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing.
But I didn't kill him.
No one is accusing you of that.
I think there's someone who would beg to differ.
I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then. Witness, please testify to this court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place.
It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was shocked. Or I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice.
You poured yourself a glass of juice?
Yes. Sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of the crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving one thing.
And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Phoenix. She is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her own thinking. So you have to attack when she's least expecting it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant the trial is over. Understood? And what was Mr. Ungard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Ungard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been, then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes. Excuse me? What are you?
Right. I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Ungard's knife from his room?
No.
Subject, verb, object, right. Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue.
up Edgeworth. And why did you do that?
As a friendly gesture, Juan was making an appearance with the other heroes.
So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Let her be. I should back off. As long as I don't have any proof she's not going to talk.
May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room?
You were in shock.
What? Was I not supposed to be?
Miss Andrews is a very calculating person. And despite how close they were, I doubt she had any romantic feelings for Mr. Kurita.
Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked.
Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not.
I see.
This is the photo you're referring to, correct?
Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest.
And the guitar case was like this too?
Yes, it was open and empty, of course.
And then, what did you do next, Witness?
Juice?
Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself.
But you didn't drink any of it, did you?
Huh?
There were no lip marks left on the wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it.
I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it.
Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Krita, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself a glass of juice, correct?
And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time.
Your mind was a complete blank. I didn't think it was possible for you.
Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed I made one careless mistake. That one thing.
What one thing?
Never mind. It's no big deal.
What was she starting to say just now?
Now we press further.
Miss Andrews! I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was.
Actually, so would I.
I'm sorry. It's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over.
Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards?
It was originally on top of the dresser. But when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case.
Why did you withhold such an important piece of information?
I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene had already been in disarray, that people would simply assume that the vase had been another part of the mess.
It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony.
I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. Wouldn't the,
New line.
Oh yeah. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over, where it fell onto the guitar case.
Oh yeah, I know where the contradiction is here.
Okay.
Because nope. This photo, if that were true, the guitar case was already open, it would have spilled into the guitar case, but it was on top.
Yeah.
So we either present the photo or the guitar case. I can't remember which. I think it's water only on the top of the lid. I think it's the guitar case. Yeah, it's the guitar case. It would have to be, because the photo doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
But the guitar case does.
You testified that you knocked over the flower vase. You knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there a problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside.
That's very true.
Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case.
And what is that?
Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor.
And what's wrong with that?
If the guitar case was open when the vase fell in, bleh. Wow, I am messing up reading already. Sweet.
It's okay.
The glass shards should be inside, not outside the case.
What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all?
No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else.
Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all.
That very well may be, however...
Oh, it's been a while since I've seen that.
The empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it?
Seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case?
Yes, make her testify. The empty guitar case. I believe it is a crucial piece to this puzzle.
I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this. But it is you.
Shut up, Edgeworth. I can't believe I'm doing this either.
All right, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know.
It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting.
Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start my cross-examination.
Using any way to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man.
Thanks.
Miles is like trying his hardest to flirt. This is like the
Nick's
Miles
just, like...
Edgeworth school of flirting. It really is, though.
It is, and Nick is just so distraught.
Nick is having the worst time of his life.
His eyes are still a bit puffy.
Miles can't read the room.
He can't see that Nick actually did do some crying.
He's just like, was that my imagination? It must have been my imagination. Anyway, I have to go prep the witness that I subpoenaed. Miles, boy.
The bailiffs are saying, like, oh, did you hear that wailing from the bathroom? And he's thinking nothing of it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's just some distressed witness or something. Fuck. Miles, honey, read the room.
Nick in the bathroom just being trapped in a glass case of emotion.
God, I need to rewatch Anchorman. Fuck.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, right, we're cross-examining. I was like, why aren't you reading?
Because I already read.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind?
Miles was taking some aspirin for the headache that he's getting at not understanding what the fuck is going on.
Well, you see. Are you sure you are the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her how she should answer or how she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over.
Well, Miss Andrews?
Yes, it was me. So you opened the guitar case then. Why am I having so much trouble saying guitar today? God damn. Yes, well, maybe.
So you opened the Gligger case then?
The Gligger case. I cannot say guitar for the life of me when I'm reading. What is wrong with me?
Juan opens it up and a fucking Gligger flies out and slashes his neck and flies away.
Oh.
Your Honor, a Pokemon is the killer. For anyone wondering, yes, I finally finished Legends Arceus, including the post-game story quest. 2 months after it was released, instead of a week. So I've got Pokemon on the brain.
Why did you open the guitar? I'm gonna keep messing up saying this today.
I heard guitar. You're fine.
Guitar case.
Just keep going.
Fuck.
You gonna pull a Leon Lush? Learn to talk. God damn it.
I need to learn to talk. God.
You're fine. I'm not hearing
Alright.
mistakes until you point them out.
Huh?
Adrian's like, what?
Why is he yelling at himself about guitar? Mr. Kurita's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it?
I would think that was the first thing you would call for help, not open the guitar case.
As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed.
Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it.
Why would she care about the bright red guitar?
But getting back on topic.
Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside.
How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright.
Sorry. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body?
Yes, that's probably it.
I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue to press her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try.
Come on, Phoenix. We can't afford to let up on her now.
I wasn't planning on letting up, but...
She's at her weakest now, so this is our chance.
Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with.
I'm sure a weapon is hidden somewhere in the court records, waiting to be found.
Alright, so it's 2, 3, or 4. You can present it on any of these.
Yes.
I like this one, though, because of this point. It only bears the victim's fingerprints, not Adrian's.
Yeah.
Objection!
There was no way you were the one who opened the guitar case.
Why would you say that?
It's elementary, my dear.
Someone's been reading some Sherlock Holmes.
What was Sherlock Holmes?
Oh, Nick, you'll find that out way later. It's okay, buddy.
Because only the fingerprints on the guitar case were those of the victim.
I love her sassy stance on the court pan out. What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case.
What do you mean?
What if I were to tell you I was wearing gloves at the time?
Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time?
It was the night of the awards ceremony. So, of course, I was dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now that I remember, I'm almost sure that I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
That's strange. You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange?
Why is that strange? Do you have something to prove that I was not wearing gloves at the time?
Yeah, this.
Yes.
I have your proof right here. This wine glass.
The wine glass?
You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case?
Order! Order! Order!
Looks like you hit the nail on the head with this one.
What do you mean?
I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here.
But it's just an empty case.
I wonder if it really was empty, though.
But the guitar. Bright red guitar was at the studio.
Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case when it, was it not the bright red guitar?
You don't mean... If it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either.
I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... Excuse me?
No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had just testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. Which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it was wide open again in this photo of the scene of the crime. I'm sure this guitar case is somehow related to the murder.
If you are so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright?
Well... Let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case.
The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that a bright black guitar was in that... Oh, Mr. Edgeworth. So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that it, Wright?
I wouldn't say something unless if I didn't intend to prove.
Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet.
I know.
And now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder?
Nickel Samurai.
Yep, so we can present either Maya's glossy photo or Lada's. But let's present Maya's.
Yeah.
This is a photograph.
Yes, but what is important is what's in the picture, Your Honor.
In this picture?
It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... Inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero of his very own costume.
What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to be doing something like that?
That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course.
Oh, again?
Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews?
I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea?
Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct?
You mean this photo? Order! Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix.
Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later.
So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt on guard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside of the guitar case of all places? True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case?
It was stolen from Matt on guard. I think it might have been stolen from Mr. on guard.
Stolen? But why would someone do such a thing?
Maybe the thief wanted to interfere with the post-ceremony stage show. And so, if he didn't have his costume, then Mr. on guard would have been forced to go naked.
Ah, okay, here we are. Here we are.
That's why I said it so forcefully.
Here we are. Maybe you should be stripped naked and run out for making a mockery of this court.
What? Excuse me? What?
Mr. Matt Ungod, you heard me, did not take his costume off after the awards ceremony. You heard me.
I'm not stripping.
Anyway, he even testified that he took a nap while still wearing his costume. Is this not correct?
You sound very amused. Yeah, he did say something like that, didn't he? Oh.
That's what I thought. Oh, that's the tiniest penalty in the world. Let's try that one more time, shall we, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, what was it doing inside of the guitar case?
It was a spare costume.
Nick's like, all my hopes are dashed.
Mr. on guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one.
What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought the spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Korida, was the Jammin Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act?
And there lies the sticking point.
What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue?
Huh? No, I just...
Miles, you're one to talk about inner monologue after you just told Nick he should strip and run, whatever.
You thought you said that to yourself, but no, the entire court heard. It's typed up in the transcripts now.
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with gusto. I believe in you.
Alright. This is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was...
The press conference. He had to confess something.
Yeah.
What better way to fuck up on guard than to confess something as the Nickel Samurai?
Mm-hmm.
What is this?
On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference?
Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference.
I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right?
But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Ungard himself said he had no idea what he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The press conference was a setup. By none other than the victim himself, Mr. Juan Carita.
That's fine. Yeah, you're good. The victim?
Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for the very conference. Mr. Carita was going to hold a press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I'm concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference.
The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself.
Which means that Juan Carita, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Ungard.
Yes, I guess that is what they would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure. Miss Andrews?
I can see why you are pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you said, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
It was one he asked me to set up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me.
You?
Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure that Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looks like somehow Juan had his hands on a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What?
And do you know what the secret of Mr. Ungard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. Ungard.
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had killed Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him.
just does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine, Mr. Wright.
Looks like somehow everything is swung in the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into turning her logic upside down. Would you say that it was your intuition speaking to you?
Don't confuse my method of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove someone did something, you need 3 things.
3 things?
A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known the Phoenix.
They didn't teach us that at school. At least, not that I remember right now.
May I continue?
So would you say this need came from the press conference?
Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event to hold at the hotel for the conference? Because that was where he could cause the most damage to public beloved Matt and Guard.
And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes. Because I'm the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume.
But I'm sure Mr. Engard himself didn't know anything about the press conference.
Oh, really? Can you show me proof that he didn't know about the press conference?
Anyway, the important thing here is that the information was not in your testimony.
Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right.
Has Mr. Engard done something to hurt or betray you personally?
Why do you ask?
You were the one who helped Mr. Kurita set with his press conference. And the event was supposed to bring down Mr. Engard, yet you helped him.
The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with this plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill.
Why do I keep doing this to myself? But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Engard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Engard?
I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia.
He's glaring at you, smartass.
Go, Mia.
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well have been a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button. It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama. Isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Oh.
Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes.
Mia's having none of his shit.
Mia, come on.
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. He looks like he's going to cry.
The button was torn off of Juan during the fight with his fight with Matt. And how do you know that? When the ends of the thread of the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. Heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that. Just because I'm prepared and you are not. Ugh. I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up, it has to be here. But where and what?
Oh. I forgot the scroll wheel did that shit.
But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time.
Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it?
The witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Engard at any time. Why, then, would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Kurita planned that elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Engard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant.
This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please, stop slandering the witness.
As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I can press a little more. You should know this by now. But you need to be strong. Decisive evidence to make her talk. But you'll need that. Got it, Chief. I've gotta pin this down. I gotta pin this on you. I'm going to pin you down on this, Miss Andrews.
Okay, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the autopsy report. Jesus Christ.
What?
There's so many things.
The manila envelopes.
Yeah.
Back to back.
I'm like, autopsy, suicide, autopsy, suicide. Oh, damn it. Autopsy, autopsy.
This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it. Which means it was ripped off of the costume when?
After the knife was stabbed into the victim.
Exactly. Which means... it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle. Because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body.
Order! Order! What is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, Wright? Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change?
Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did it serve?
What purpose?
We know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this off of the victim's body. That would mean the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? To pin the criminal on guard.
Yeah.
Now that we're done with our penalty, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Ungard. There is no way anyone would put a bloodied button on their own pants. That's right, Mr. Ungard was set up. By the killer, of course.
And the real murderer is... well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then?
Finally. I believe I managed to bring the trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned on framing Mr. Ungard, is... Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Kurita's killer. What?
Order! 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 Mr. Wright!
Phoenix, this isn't a Pokemon battle.
This is a very grave matter, not a Pokemon battle, as your very familiar-looking assistant said. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. What? How preposterous. How can you stick any of that on me? I can't. Can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he was already strangled to death.
It was used to throw suspicion on Mr. Engard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And only one, and the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife it was you. Then, what about the button that was found on Matt's Hakama? The button was removed from the victim's body after he was already dead. The only person who could have done so was the person who found his body or the killer. However, Mr. Engard was the real killer. There was no way he would put such incriminating evidence on his own Hakama. The only person who could have put the button on Mr. Engard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which was you, yet again, Miss Andrews.
I see. What about the empty guitar case?
That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity at the crime scene. Now, who would have known that there was such a costume inside of the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No,
But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right.
That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left the fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Ah! And on top of it all, there is this photo. Photo of the killer as they were exiting the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth would have believed that it was the Nickel Samurai, believe this guy was the Mr. Engard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews?
I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about anything if it can incriminate me.
Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually,
thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Engard's room.
Adrian Andrews.
Yes?
Think hard about what we have discussed. Understood?
All right. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things looked bad.
You did a good job proving everything to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done.
Something I haven't done.
What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? I've run out of evidence. What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless.
What?
Everything you have proven is circumstantial.
Circumstantial?
Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida?
I believe this may lead me into incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But, Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it. There's nothing to prove it either way.
Yep, that's why pleading the fifth is such a smart move.
And why Nick is about to cry again.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence.
No! She's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do?
Somehow, we've landed ourselves in the worst possible situation.
I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. And the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid, definitive proof.
But that's not true.
In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial.
What are you sweating for, Wright? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he?
That's not it. This isn't about that.
What?
Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
Miss Faye? But it's impossible to continue so long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... What? It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews. When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and?
I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice.
So many actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness.
I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he a friend or foe? I just don't know.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
Juice. I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And one, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, I thought that he was... The thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he was just fainted or something, so I went and poured him some juice. And when I realized he was dead, that's when I knocked over the flower vase.
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with her testimony, then there's nothing left.
I know. Edgeworth. What the heck is going on in that brain of yours?
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Okay.
We're not going to bother with pressing, just because, there are parts in this game that get dicey with pressing.
Yeah.
So, let's just not. So, we can present evidence on...
The last
three.
statement.
Yeah, it's from here to the end. We can present anything.
Yep.
And that would be the crime photo, because he had a fucking knife sticking out of his chest.
Yep.
Objection!
Okay. So you honestly didn't think that he was dead when you found him?
No, not at all.
Even though this is what you saw when you had discovered the body?
What is the meaning of this?
Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Kurita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that he was a dead man.
That's... well, you see...
I doubt a single person in the world would have mistaken this for someone who had fainted. And then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink.
Your point is?
Miss Andrews. Your testimony just now was all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. No!
looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt on guard, is not guilty after all.
That's impossible. You're wrong.
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan.
But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was you might end up incriminating yourself.
That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify.
Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt on guard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last?
What's wrong, Phoenix?
Usually the real killer confesses to his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on guard.
Oh God.
Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute, real truth. The absolute, real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party.
That's a lie. I don't believe you.
What?
I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty.
What in the world is she talking about? She lost it?
I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma.
Huh?
Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of others. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself.
Then, right now, Miss Andrews is...
Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews' undying belief in those words right now, and clinging onto them.
Then what should we do? This is the first time I've come across anything like this. Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. That's my only priority.
It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please. Someone help me.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime.
Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except for the woman crying over there, right?
Come now, what will you do? What kind of a man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
I force her to testify. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews. I would like to know what you are really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
No. Sure, Mr. Engard would get an acquittal, but in his place you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want the trial to end?
Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong.
Oh, what a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this. However, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court.
Stop.
Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness.
What?
And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past.
Stop. Please stop.
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here.
That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report.
What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews.
The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop! I beg you! If people find out, I'll...
If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me.
Edgeworth, how can you be so cold?
However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me.
Talk, but please help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I had made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash to Matt's room. And then I stepped Juan's body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and returned to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume.
Stabbed the body with the knife, but why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth.
The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again. Just like last time.
Time.
So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime.
What? How is this possible? I mean,
Wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination.
but you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say you didn't know he was dead?
He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is part of the Jammin' Ninja costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice.
What is this plan you had?
I knew right away that the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop one and silence him for good. That's what I thought. I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt.
So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button.
The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife.
So that you could get the knife, correct?
The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then
Oh, yeah, I already read that,
said
yeah.
It's good.
So you were the one to stab the victim with the knife.
It gives me goosebumps thinking about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect.
So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Onguard's hakama.
Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they?
An inconvenience.
There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway.
I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta.
There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth.
That's Miss Oldback for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once. So I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared the costume, weren't you?
Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it in Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony.
You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct?
Yes. Juan wanted to wear the costume to hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there.
And what is this secret?
That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume.
I think we've heard enough. So, after that, you went back to Mr. On-Guard's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's Hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word, what does all of this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt on guard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk.
Cisco, huh?
She said that I should, under no circumstance, confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor! The defense still...
Right.
Oh,
It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of the witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright.
but...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Today's trial it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal.
Witness, would you mind if I asked you something?
Edgeworth? What is it?
Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for some time now. What exactly is it?
Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I don't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on the other day. On that day. The room?
That day.
Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying right next to him.
You found that card next to the victim's body.
I suspect I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right?
Yeah. I guess not. It's still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue on this case, I don't see why.
Witness that card! Give it to me, hurry!
Edgeworth?
Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This, I can't believe you hid this from me all this time.
I didn't mean to. What is this all about?
I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? What does it matter?
Yikes.
We'll continue in the next episode in the same session, but we're going to take a break.
Yay.
So, yeah, anyone notice the sound of the judge's gavel?
How it echoes.
That's the guilty echo.
Yep. Yay.
Yippee skippy! Nick's in the best place.
I'm gonna go cry in the bathroom again, and this time I'm not coming out.
No, Nick, you have to go back to Wright and Co. That's what you have to do. Oh my goodness. Also, Nick, that's a lie. You've seen Miles incredibly emotional. At his own trial. Oh, but yeah, we will continue this in the next episode and find out how exactly we can get away with 2 days of trial.
Because as far as we know, Maya's dead.
Yeah. Well, as far as we know, Maya fucking pieced out and we don't know what happened to her afterwards.
Yeah.
That's as far as we know. As far as Nick knows, Maya's dead.
As far as Nick knows, Maya is dead.
Yeah. So, you guys will find out in the next episode. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been Danny.
And Katie.
And we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.